Hello again, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Norwalk Film Festival Podcast. I am Sean Fox, one of the volunteer board members of the festival. This interview series is to share the stories of our filmmakers before our festival kicks off so that you can get to know them a little bit before seeing their films in person. Our filmmaker this week is no stranger to Norwalk nor the festival. His name is Simon Magnifico. He's a writer, actor, and director, and his entry to the festival this year is called Is That It? It's the story of a young writer looking for inspiration in all the wrong places. Is That It is one of the over 60 films that are a part of our fourth annual festival, and they'll be screening January 19th through the 21st in Norwalk, Connecticut. We're hosting at the Wall Street Theater, the Norwalk Public Library, and kicking it all off with a sweet, sweet party at the 314 Beer Garden in South Norwalk on Friday night, the 19th. It's a fun weekend, great people, and you never know who you're going to meet. So visit norwalkfilmfestival.org for all of the details. And now, let's chat with Simon Magnifico. Here with the writer and director of Is This It?, Simon Magnifico. Thank you very much for joining me today, Simon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I just want to say you are the first repeat interviewee for this for these little series that we're doing. So I don't know if you have any space on your shelf to put a little. I'll print you out an award to be that.
Oh, that'd be great. My mom can put it on the piano. That's where the important stuff usually goes.
There you go.
I don't play piano, but my sisters usually take up that space because they get more accolades than me because they're better, smarter. So,
well, don't sell yourself too short. You, I would say, unofficially, you might also have. You're up there for the most Norwalk Film Festival acceptances over the 4 years doing this. So, do not sell yourself short at all.
Oh, thank you.
So you've been turning out, I mean, roughly a film per year over the last couple years, and this is maybe leading a little bit into this year's film. Is That It? But what is your process when you're putting a story together? When you get that first idea and how you kind of like walk it up to the production process.
Yeah, an idea usually sits with me for a little bit of time before I end up making it. And I find the time that I'm usually most inspired is when I'm working on another project. Last year, I did a short film titled In a Happy New Year, which premiered at the Norwalk Film Festival. And while I was shooting that movie and I was editing it, I started having some ideas for my current film that's being shown here this year. Is That It? It's actually based on a short story that a member of my family wrote. They wish to remain anonymous. I've asked them several times if they want credit. They're very, very bashful and said, nope, I don't even want you to say what title I have in the family. They don't want their first name being said, middle name, last name, all that's been redacted. But I knew that story was around for so many years, and I thought it was just so great, and it kind of connected with me in a way I really didn't think it would when I first read it. And I just instantly saw these pictures, these clothes, and I just knew it was a very summertime movie. So when I was working on In the Happy New Year, I kind of started having these ideas about what could I do with it? Who does this person mean to me? How do I relate to them? And all of that stuff kind of just led from me going right into showing that movie to making that one almost instantly. It was a pretty quick process.
Wow. I mean, it's the, your best ideas come to you when you're doing something else, if you're out for a walk and then you're like, oh God, I just got the best idea. How do I write it down?
Yeah. Like I got to remember this because if I get distracted, if I see like a squirrel or something, it's gone. So I got to let's hope I got a pen to write it on my hand.
For sure. And then you just have a note app full of just random ideas. And you're like, I don't even know what this one means.
Yeah, my family, we're all on the same iCloud, so they have my notes. They're like,
oh gosh.
And then I'm like, no, it's like, they're like, add reverb to that. And I'm like, no, it's like an idea for like the audio I had. They're like, They see all of it.
That's too funny. So this film is a little bit different than your last couple. Last year's was a Die Hard inspired Christmas action film, but this one's a little more straightforward, a quote traditional comedy, I would say. Was there anything that inspired that shift, or was just kind of that's what the basis of the story like informed you as you were thinking about it?
Yeah, I think when you go from one project to another, especially as quickly as I did, you really want to do something different. And
Mm.
I was really inspired just by Norwalk around me, which is such a big part of the film. It's almost like a character in the film in a lot of ways. And I just, I've lived here all my life. I know so many people from here. This story that was, in some ways very simply structured. It's almost like a tumbleweed, it's just not a set narrative. It just kind of, the wind blows it along and it kind of ends up in certain areas. So when I was working on this movie, it was almost nice because there was room for a building to be stacked up. It had a nice base, and I could use a lot of things to help make the movie more complex and find an emotional connection to it. And, such a big part of the film is dreaming. Dreaming as a young person, dreaming as somebody who hasn't really went the traditional route of, high school, 4 years of college. You really find yourself in a position where you're like, well, what do I do? And you could either kind of work and make some money and enjoy your life, or I think you can have what this character in the film has is sometimes a lot of flaws where you're not doing much. You're just thinking about it. You're not working for it. You're not making money. You're not putting your head down and just, doing something every single day. You're just kind of daydreaming. And I thought the juxtaposition between the inside, the character's room, his bathroom, all these exteriors juxtaposed to all that Norwalk has to offer, its colorfulness in the summer, and just the fact that the city is becoming more and more artistic. You turn a corner, there's a new mural. You turn another corner, there's a new sign for an acting conservatory. I think I was told the other day that we're getting a fashion school. So just embracing the city and all that has to offer, as well as, being a place that now has this film festival. It's been around for a few years and doing so much great stuff. So it's really kind of about taking the story and infusing it with all the things that are around me, the people that are around me, the sounds that are around me, the music the music that I've heard all around me as I've been here was such a big part.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that your last couple films were much more a smaller scale in just like locations and stuff too. So are you getting more, do you think you're like more comfortable making stuff, or was this like kind of, you're like, all right, like I'm going to get out there and I'm going to use all different parts of the town and I'm going to do, show it off. Like what was it?
A lot of the people who worked on this movie are people from Norwalk, working in Norwalk, trying to build a name from themselves while being based from here. And I just knew all these great places that I just wanted to show off in a way that I knew weren't coming from an outside place. Because sometimes I think when you go, I want to shoot here at golden hour, it's just, there's a disconnect with the story. But there was so much in the film that Norwalk helped assist, or vice versa. And it was just so great to use that. And I felt more comfortable, I think, shooting on this movie than some of my others, because I've just been a casual pedestrian at these places, just someone walking around, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. So to return to this place, albeit with a camera and a microphone and props and all that stuff, I did feel different, and I did get a couple of looks, especially the days I was wearing my colorful short shorts.
Oh yeah.
But felt comfortable there, and I felt like I wasn't a tourist in any way. And I've went to places before. I've driven to places. I've asked permission to film in so many different locations, and I felt on edge. I felt rushed. But this one, I'm like, no, I'm in the city that I live, that I love, and I know how to shoot this, and I know how to go with the flow and just let the people and the weather and the place just work for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved speaking of going to different locations, the little montages throughout. Like the bookstore one was really fun, and like really hitting all the musical notes there, and the like walking around different places in town. Plus the final one with the frog. All those like little montages were a lot of. It was fun to watch. Was it fun making all of those and like imagining and putting them all together?
It really was. It really was. The montages for me are so important because the film is structured around these 3 montages to throw the show the steps of the character. That was really important to me to have, although the movie was very loose, a structure to it, something that the character could strive for. And in his head, a lot of ways, it felt like a montage. It wasn't just a filmmaking device to show the passing of time. That's how it felt like to him. It felt heightened. It felt important. And the montages I tried to infuse with so much energy to show how this person who's trying to achieve this almost impossible goal for him, how he feels during that time. So, there was a lot of energy involved in those shoots. A lot of energy was exerted during those. I felt exhausted almost by the end of that. But it was fun. I got a lot of looks on the walking one. I just took on speed walking back and forth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A small crowd gathered, which wasn't
really
sound.
No.
It was a little bit maybe tense up because I knew I had to be loose and move quick. All of a sudden I'm doing these takes and I'm blocking an intersection and I'm like, ah. But like I said, being from there kind of gave me a little bit of leverage.
Yeah.
Especially I was in South Norwalk. There's a lot of people coming to visit. I'm like, all right, no, I'm from here. Give me a second. Yeah. I need to use this area.
just need the space. As you also mentioned, the music. I thought the music was really fun throughout. How did you come across those artists and the different songs that you used?
Yeah, music was such a big part of the movie, and I have to really shout out one person in particular who was my co-star in the film, Sam Charlotte. He goes by the musician name I Am Sam, and he's from Norwalk, and he's working with a lot of people from Fairfield County, and he provided so much music for the movie. The day we wrapped production, I was, talking to him. I was just saying, I feel we have a lot of great visuals. I feel like we have a lot of great performances. I just really want to make sure we have music that kind of can reflect this. And not even 5 minutes later, I just had a text from him, and it was just like a file with like 9 different tracks in it. And I listened to all of them, and I was like, yep, they can all be in the movie. This is perfect. So he, in a lot of ways, helped structure the movie with those songs. I had an idea, but when I went to edit, it almost turned into like a musical. No one was singing or dancing or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the film is, which might be interesting next time, something to keep in mind.
You can change genres again, go into a straight musical next time.
Right, do like a musical. Something very kind of golden age Hollywood, something like that. I got to figure out how to dance first. That's going to be a big challenge.
Hey, you have till next year, so you got time.
Yeah, right. I got something to do. I need to have a New Year's resolution now. But it was insane almost how quickly the structure of the film formed around these songs, and really they carry the film through, and it really worked, I think, accompanying the visuals in a lot of ways that we captured, and it's almost like they were made for them, but they existed and they were out there and they were great songs that a lot of other talented people admired. So I was just really, really fortunate to work with somebody that's multi-talented like Sam, who can act and who's also a musician. So it really, really helped give the film an extra layer.
Yeah, he did a great job playing the kind of the foil to Miles, keeping him a bit grounded, and then also being like, when he's like, all right, you're coming to this party. Like, we got to just, when he forces him to get up and do something, trying to help his friend's dream come alive. And so, yeah, I thought he did a great job in that. His character is great in that, assisting Miles trying to achieve his goal. Because the rest of the time we kind of see Miles just by himself, working or with Hemingway girl, the other people to help him along. So it's, the expanded cast was nice. I was saying kind of just the world of your movies expand a little bit, where you had a few more cast members and compared to the last ones. So it's nice to see. How do you feel that you've grown and changed as a filmmaker or storyteller over the last couple of years?
Well, this one particularly, because it didn't have as solid of a narrative structure, it was almost like putting together an emotional puzzle. You kind of just talked about the character that Sam Charlotte played and how he was kind of much more relaxed, and I think all around a much more level-headed person. Somebody that I would like to be around, especially I was reflecting on that when I wrote him. And it's so funny because, Sam and I think maybe we're at most a couple months apart in age, but I kind of wrote that character to be almost like a much older person giving advice in a younger way. That's how I kind of felt like that relationship was. More so when I was shooting it and editing it, I kind of realized that, this character's more inspired by some of the adults in my life. And that relationship and how they're at two different points of acceptance in their life really made it at times tricky to edit, to show where one person's coming from over the other. The movie is a lot of juxtaposition, like I said, inside, outside, a calm, chill person versus a high-strung, hyper person. Putting that together so you have the feeling that they're friends and not butting heads.
Yeah.
At the same time, also on, two different wavelengths was challenging. And to, also to not undermine what the character just heard in the following scene. You want to show that he's a little bit stubborn, but you don't want him to be unlikable. He gets all this great advice. He meets all these great people in great places, but then he goes and he kind of pulls the rug out from under himself. So I found myself trying to put, a puzzle together at different times, having different pieces of my thought and thinking to myself, okay, well, how can I make this fit? Can't, restructure everything, but how can I make this fit without completely burning everything down? So that was really where I had to, buckle down, think about it. And also not just from a technical standpoint, from an emotional standpoint. What was I feeling when I read this? What was I feeling when I wrote this? What was I feeling when I was acting this? And really brushing past all that I've done and all that I had planned and just remembering, okay, what did I want this movie to do and how can I make this happen? But also having to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think it all came through and works well together in the end. So I think you did a great job piecing all those things and making the balance work on this one. So then the main character, Miles, he's dealing with the writer's block. He wants to become a writer, so he's dealing with writer's block. But how does Simon deal with writer's block? How do you get over that?
Yeah, I usually have to leave. And that's where I think this movie really came together because, I go outside. The movie takes place in Norwalk. Like I said, the outside arm is so important. This is what I see when I go outside. But writer's block was really welcome on this story because, like I said, it was more about my emotional connection to the character and what he was going through and where he was. So whenever I got, any kind of, mental block, whether it be as a writer, a director, an actor, an editor, whatever I got, it was almost like, okay, well, there's a little bit of frustration there. So pay attention to how I'm feeling when I'm frustrated and how do I feel when I remove myself from that frustration? And what does that do to the cut? Does it make it more jarring? Does it make it softer? What does it do to the color? Does it make it more enhanced? Does it make it, much more desaturated? So it was a lot of kind of reflecting on, well, don't run away from this time. Maybe you need to think about that. Because normally I try to distract myself. I put on music. I watch another movie. I listen to, a podcast from an actor, director I admire. But this time I was like, well, no, maybe I should sit with this feeling for a little bit.
Interesting.
So for me, this time it was about embracing that so the movie can have a genuineness to it, truthfulness. And also, too, that really helped with acting because it didn't become acting. It was about behavior. It wasn't about, let me pretend for the second. It's like, well, no, how do I behave when I'm like this?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think also, because me and Sam, we were friends prior to doing the movie. How do we behave with one another when we're in this situation? How do we behave when we're in this place? How do we behave in this weather? So the movie was about people in certain situations at a certain age behaving a certain way.
Well, yeah, that's great. So, just kind of wrapping up here, you mentioned that you came up with the idea of this one while you were working on your film last year. Mm-hmm. What are you working on next, and did you come up with the idea while you were working on this one?
This one I actually came up with years ago, but right. I kind of pawned this one off to my sister. She's a screenwriter. She won a couple Scholastic Awards for her screenplays, and she wrote the film. Actually, I'm working on it, wrapping up the script, putting the final touches on it during this time between Christmas and New Year's. It's my first feature. I'm hoping to see my first feature film. So it's a lot of work. I've been storyboarding for about 5 months now, kind of going back and redrawing things. My drawing skills have gotten somewhat better. They're more legible now.
Well, we can work on drawing and dancing for next year.
Drawing and dancing. The list keeps on getting longer and longer. But that's what I'm working on now, and I would like to film it in Norwalk again because it's just such a big part of my life. Mm-hmm. And I did her during the editing of Is That It? And she would be interested in writing this. So I guess I did have another good idea. Because, she's talented. So I got lucky. I got a sister who's talented in writing. So I was like, let me use that to my advantage.
That's great. Well, look forward to seeing what comes of that. Been impressed by everything you've done so far, and it's a lot of fun watching what you put together. So can't wait to see what's next.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking to you again as our repeat interviewee, and look forward to seeing you at the festival this year.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks again to Simon for joining me. It's always amazing to have him a part of our community, and excited to have his film in our festival this year again. His movie plus 60 others are part of a great lineup at our festival this year. Come out to the Wall Street Theater during 20th and 21st to see Is That It?, along with all of our other films. Visit our website, norwalkfilmfestival.org, for ticketing info, schedules, and more. And we are an entirely volunteer-run organization, just like me, doing this all on my own time. And we couldn't do it all without you. Help us spread the word by following us on all social media platforms under the handle @Norwalk Film Festival. There you'll get all the up-to-date details on everything happening with the festival, get sneak peeks at more of the films, check out the posters, everything. We've got lots of stuff on there. So thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you in Norwalk.